What's up, guys? Today we're going to dive into kind of rethinking performance training. This should go without saying, this is not actually to reinvent the wheel, it's to do quite the contrary. I think right now if we were to pull up Instagram and look at training for a sport, we'd see a lot of unconventional stuff that seems to be more mainstream. Like, do I really need to bench press with an SSB bar and splash around in the pool to get better at the sport of football or basketball, baseball, whatever, pick your sport? Probably not. Does some of this stuff have carryover to sport? Absolutely. I don't want to discredit the nuance that can go into training for sport and some of the more intricate things. That's not at all. But my point is, oftentimes I get to work with a lot of very high level athletes who we've never even touched the basics with. We don't have the requisite education around moving our body through things like basic patterns. So not to digress too much into that right out the gate, I just want to kind of rethink, especially with my experience as being a former Division I athlete, like we had a high priority on doing like strength work, barbell bench press, barbell squat, power cleans, and those are exercises that I find very valuable, but also I see them pushed to the extent where it's like, we're trying to be professional powerlifters, when in reality it's like, how predictive is strength going to be past a certain point to our performance in the sport? Now, depending on the sport and the position, strength for a Division I offensive lineman or for an NFL offensive lineman is probably going to need to be a very high priority, right? But there's going to be some variance there, and there's going to be very good athletes that are going to be the best at the sport regardless of that, right? So again, let's make sure that we're doing things in the weight room that are going to be predictive of our performance on the field. It's probably okay if our kids or athletes that we're working with aren't the absolute strongest. Like we need to be strong, and again, given on the sport and position, it depends, but like to what extent is really pushing strength past a certain point going to be beneficial for us, depending on the sport. So we can honestly take that approach with all qualities that we're training. I don't think anybody's ever too fast or too twitchy, but you get my point. Not to digress. Our job is not to be powerlifters, and I think a lot of kids kind of get a bad taste in their mouth because that's kind of how they've been trained throughout their entire career working with strength and conditioning coaches. So let's put things in context. Let's not be the ones that are like forcing strength down our kids' throats. Strong is good. To what point past strong are we going to get ROI? That depends again, but let's at least ask that question and answer that question, right? Something that I really want to get into is like, let's just do basic patterns, like let's cover the basics, guys. Like I'm talking basic shit like a squat pattern, a hinge pattern, a lunge pattern, vertical push-pull, horizontal push-pull, and then like vertical projection, horizontal projection jumps. Like let's just make sure we're doing those things in sprinting. Like if you had no idea what you're doing as a S&C coach, and you have a relatively raw athlete, if you just do those things and coach them well and get them better at those things, they're probably going to be a better athlete, right? Regardless of the sport. Now, I think we really, 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 really do a disservice to our athletes by not making sure that we can just do these basic things. Now, I'm sure we could pick a thing here and there within that list I just mentioned and say, oh, hey, for this person, this sport, this build, do we need that? And maybe not, right? I'm just giving out a list of general things we should work on. I think basic movement qualities are things that are going to help educate athletes, one, how to perform better in their sport, better body control, but also like from an injury prevention standpoint, it's like if we can just move our body through a variety of ranges of motion with relative strength and have the relative, awareness and stability and strength around, where we need to be through those patterns, like that's probably gonna have some carryover to how we perform on the field in terms of like injury mitigation. I won't say injury prevention, but we can probably mitigate some injuries by improving how athletes move. Now, a lot of injuries are unpreventable. That's not for me to say, hey, listen to me, I'm gonna prevent all your injuries. But like undoubtedly, if we move better, we're probably gonna help give athletes better outcomes, whether it's from that standpoint of mitigating injury or whether it's from a performance standpoint of actually helping them improve how they move, giving them more options in movement. Like that's never going to hurt them. My entire point here is like, let's do less of the flashy Instagram bullshit, and let's do more of the things that are basic, and then we can sprinkle that stuff in, where it sees value. And I think too, listening to your athletes, I've let my athletes do ridiculous shit before because it's not harmful to them, but like they see value in it, right? There's a psychological buy-in from allowing our athletes to do things that they like. So there is room to do some eye-washy stuff if it gets buy-in. I'm not going to discredit that. But again, let's not do a disservice by missing the basics. Let's cover the basics before we start getting into the more intricate things. We don't need to be professional powerlifters, right? We should be strong depending on the sport, but like how much stronger is going to be better? That's really my rant today, guys. So if we have more questions to follow up on whatever that was, please let me know below. Please like and subscribe, and we will come back here soon.